Prospectus financial information and other assurance services. Mhm. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Gain knowledge about standard of assurance engagement, understanding the meaning of prospectus financial information, and know about the responsibility of professional accountant and examination, reporting the prospective financial information, say 3, 400. Understand the meaning of service organization, understand the importance of the control of service organization to user entity and internal controls related to financial reporting. Know about the responsibility of the professional accountants, and say 33402. Understand the meaning of pro forma financial information, understanding of the other responsibility of the practicality of assurance engagement, and report on complaints with the pro forma financial information included in the prospectus essay 200 chapter standard on assurance. Essay 33400 examination of the prospective financial statement. Assurance essay SAE 3402 assurance report on controls and service organization. In the say 43420 assurance and engagement report on the complaints of pro forma financial information included in the prospectus. XP Limited is a company engaged in manufacture of paints. In a set larger new project setting up a profit processing plant in NY Noda and luring into a slew of investment financial measures and occurrence of financial statements and recent global financial was being a new line of activity companies like the CHIRAG having an MBA finance qualification employed as a senior financial executive. The company prepare the detailed projection feasibility of the said project. The company manager wants him to make a detailed study converting to according the location of land, construction of planned buildings, procedure for planned machineries, and project target of turnover, profit, source of fund, including the financial assistance to be taken from the banks. The study was also used in submission to the bankers for borrowing purpose. Again, the preparing of such study, he prepares a proportion considering above forms, highlighting expected sales, profit, and key financial ratios, debt service ratios. Such a period of 7 years and payback period of 5 years, internal rate of returns, replicate charge. In the bar graphs and diagrams, this study was also submitted to the bankers for providing financial assistance for upcoming project of the bank. Bankers of the companies are now required to assurance report for the professional accountant on information containing the subsidy. Behind or no, the speech study, we wanted to understand the reason in which the report of professional accountant coming back to his office. He discussed the matter of CFO and asked him to meet the CA daily basis. During the discussion, CA transparent the issuance of the assurance report. It would be examined whether the prospective financial information is prepared on the basis of assurance. However, such assumption is not under unrealizable and consistent with the purpose of a study. And not only this, it would be looked into the whether of such information is consistent with the past financial statement and use appropriate accounting policy. Each chair works in those areas instructed CFO before the engaging service of the professional accountant. Learning about the assurance report on prospective financial information, we would also wonder whether the professional accountants also provide such reports intend to enhance the degree of confidence or certain respect of non-financial matters. There is such a circumstances which would also type of matter. Traditionally, the task to function process of child accounts practice has been relating to the past events. However, growing of dynamic society is now standard seeking professional society and increasing relation to future. The manifestation of this requirement of banks, financial institutions, and prospective investors regarding the presentation of projected cash flow and profitability statement by the intended borrowers or investors by the purpose of making the appropriate appraisal of his loan application and equity proposal. These institute place greater reliance on such transaction if they are prepared and review a chart accountant. These future-oriented financial statements are generally known as a prospective financial statements. For example, the shareholder X Limited has given a consent of a board of directors to plan raise funds for the prospective equity investor and having asked such firms to report on the accurate of the for profit forecast and statement of your financial position the entities of the following 5 years so that it would place before the equity investor. Statement of assurance engagement. An assurance engagement may related to examination of subject matter other than examination of financial statement prepared on basis of historic financial information. In such a case, assurance engagement examination may relate to prospective financial information to providing assurance related to non-financial matters like design, operational, internal control. Standard on assuring engagement deals with the responsibility of professional accountant assurance engagement dealing with these matters. The level of assurance provided by the standard on assurance engagement is moderate. The following standard of assurance engagement has been given. SA 0, SA the 3 of the warrant examination of prospectus financial statement. SA 3402 assurance report on controls of service organization. SA 3420 assurance engagement or report of completion of pro form of financial information, including in the form prospectus. SA 3400 the examination of prospective financial statements. SA 300 provides some guidance on the engagement to examine and report on the purpose of prospective financial information, including examination procedures for the best estimate and hypothetical assumptions. Examination of the prospective financial statement need not be examined by performing by statutory auditors of the entity of financial statement. What is a prospective financial statement? The prospective financial statement is a financial information based on the assumption about the event that may occur in the future and possible action by the entity. It is highly subject to the nature and preparation of the request that exceeds the considerable judgment, and the prospective financial statement should be named a forecast, a projection, or a combination of both. For example, a prior forecast plus 5 years and projection. What is a forecast? Forecast means a prospective financial statement prepared on the basis of assuming as to the future events which management expects to take place. Action management aspects should take as the date of information is provided. Based estimate assumption. Assumption that reflects anticipated experience with no provision or risk adverse relation. In the present market condition, the supply availability, historical buying patterns and seasonal trends, the CEO4 of the X Limited is expected to see by increase 5% over the next quarter. Therefore, the 5% net sale increase the financial forecast of this period. What's a projection? Projection of a financial statement is prepared on the basis of the hypothetical assumption about the future events and the management action, which may not necessarily expect to take place. Such events or startup phase are consistent with the major changes in nature of operation. The mixture of the best estimate and hypothetical assumption, imagine and suggestive. X Limited may project a course of action to be taken when one or more hypothetical situation arises, such create a new product, or meet the demand of unexpected market growth. As a result of assuming the possibility of different events occurring, financial expected projection typically serves an outline for evolution. Desired outcomes as limited and exposed to CC, such as including the financial, cash flow, operational outcomes. Company plans to raise funds from the prospective equity investors and ask for the firms of chartered accounts to examine the profit forecast of placing it before the prospective equity investor. Company is in the process of setting up a new plant. It needs financial assistance from the bank in shape of term loan and working capital credit facilities. The company have prepared a projection of this profit cash flows and next 7 years along with the underlying assumptions. Scope of SAE 3400. The purpose of the standard of assuming engagement SAE is establish a standard and providing guidance on on the engagement to examine and to report on the prospective financial information, including examination procedures for the best estimate and hypothetical assumptions. The SAE does not apply to examination of prospective financial information, expression in general or expression in narrative terms, such as found in the management discussion and analysis in the entity's annual report. Though many of these prospective outlined therein may be suitable for such examination, for the principle laid on the other standard of auditing, including the Institute of Chartered Account of India, should be used by the auditor to the extent practicable and applied to SAE. Term auditor is used throughout the SAE when describing service, including examination of prospective financial statement. Such reference is not intended to imply the member of performing such services need to be necessary on the statutory auditor on the entity's financial statement. Nature of assurance regarded prospective financial information. The prospective financial information related to the event action that have not yet occurred and might not occur, while evidence may be available to support assumption on which the prospective financial statement is based. Such evidences itself generate a future oriented and therefore the speculative in nature and are distinct from the evidence originally available in the examination of historic financial information. Therefore, an opinion as to whether the result shown in the prospective financial statement shall be achieved cannot be expressed. Responsibility of preparation and presentation of prospective financial information. Management in the responsible for preparation and presentation of prospective financial information, including identification and disclosure of prospective financial information, explaining the basis of forecast underlying assumptions. Can a professional accountant be associated with the prospective financial information? Traditionally, the test function is performed by the chartered accountant into in practice has been relation to historic financial information, recognizing the professional skills and competence of the chartered accountants. Varied stakeholders like banks, financial institutions, prospective investors intend to place a greater reliance on the report of projected cash flows and profitability statement examined in the chartered account. The glossary of the second clause of Chartered Accountant 1949 states that the chartered accountants in practice shall be deemed to be guilty of professional misconduct if he permits his name or the name of his firms used in connection with the estimate of earning contingent upon future transactions in a manner which may lead to believe the voucher of accuracy of the forecast. The above clause does not preclude chartered accountant from associating his name in prospective financial statement. Chartered accountant can participate in the preparation of profit and loss forecast and can review them, provide us indicate clearly in this report on source of information, the basis of the forecast, and also the major assumption made in arriving this forecast, as long as it does not vouch for the accuracy of the forecast. The same also apply to the projection made on the basis of hypothetical assumption about the future events and the events management actions, which is not necessarily expected to take place so long as vouching for the accuracy of positions as not made. Duties of the member who is examining the prospective financial information. It is the engagement in an engagement. To examine the prospective financial situation, the auditor should obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence. The management, best estimate, assumption, so on, the prospective financial information based on not reasonable. And in the case of hypothetical assumptions such as assumption on consistent with this prospective information, the prospective financial information is properly prepared on the basis of the assumption. The prospective financial information is properly presented. All the material assumptions are adequately disclosed and including the clear indication as to whether they are best estimate assumption or hypothetical assumption. And the prospective financial information is prepared on the consistent basis on the historical financial statement using an appropriate accounting principles. While examining the prospective financial information, the principles laid down other standards on the auditing would be applying to the extent practicable. Nature of assurance regarding prospective financial information. The prospective financial information relating to the events and actions that have not yet occurred and might not occur, while evidence may be available to support an assumption on which the prospective financial information is based. Such evidence itself generally a future oriented and therefore a speculative in nature, as distinct from the evidence originally available in the examination of the historical financial information. Therefore, an opinion as to whether the result shown in the prospective financial information will be achieved cannot be expressed. Acceptable of the engagement. Precaution to be taken by the auditor before accepting such engagement. Before accepting an engagement, to examine the prospective financial information, auditor shall consider among these things: intent use of this information, whether the information can be general or a limited description, nature of assumption, like whether they are best estimate or hypothetical assumption, element to be included in the information, a period covered with information, acceptance or engagement, intended use of information, whether the information will be general or limited description, nature of assumption, that is whether the best estimate or hypothetical assumption, elements to be included in the information, the period covers with the information. Further, auditors should not accept, whether withdrawn from, or engage on the assumptions clearly unrealistic. When the auditor believes that the prescribed financial information will be inappropriate for intent use, auditor should consider the extent of which reliance on the intent historical financial information justified. Just like engagement, it is necessary for the terms of engagement should be agreed by the client in sending engagement test. Acceptance of engagement, the intended use of information, whether the information will be general or limited distribution, and the nature of assumption and what is whether the best estimate or best or hypothetical assumption, Elements to be included in information, the period covered by the information. யாருக்காக மொத்தமாவா லிமிட்டட் பீரியடுக்கா அண்ட் வாட் இஸ் பெஸ்ட் எஸ்டிமேட் பண்ணிக்காமல இல்லை ஹைப்போதட் பண்ணிக்காமல எலமெண்ட்ஸ் இதெல்லாம் இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் கொடுத்துருக்கோம் அந்த எந்த வருஷத்துக்கு வரைக்கும். Examination procedure. When determining the nature, timing, and extent of examination procedure, the following matter should be considered, such as examination procedure: the knowledge obtained during any previous engagement, management competence regarding preparation of prospective financial information, the likelihood of material misstatement, knowledge obtained during the previous engagement, the management competency regarding the preparation of prospective financial information, how management likelihood of material misstatement, what management, what is misstatement, extent to which a prospective financial information is affected by the management. The source of information consider the management of this purpose and their adaptability, acceptancy, reliability, and underlying data, including the data derived from the third party such as industry statistics and supports of assumption, stability of entity's business, and engagement team expertise in the business and the industry in which any entities and which and such a reporting prospective assessment. And the engagement team experts in the business and the industries in which any entities and both the reporting and prospective financial information. In perform engagement team experts in the business and the industry in which entities operate and and with the reporting and prospective financial information. The performing of procedure source and reliability of evidence supporting the management best estimate assumptions need to be assessed. Such evidence may be available for varied sources like entities budgets, debt agreements, industry obligation, etc. When hypothetical assumptions are used, like significant implication as assumption should have been taken into consideration. For example, the sales is assumed to grow beyond the entity's current planned capacity. The prospective financial information will need to be include the necessary investment in additional planned capacity or the cost of alternate measures meeting the anticipated sales. Such an subcontracting subject project production, it need to be verified that the hypothetical assumption are consistent with the preparation of purpose of prospective financial information and that there is no reason to believe they are clearly unrealistic. Preparation and disclosure. When assessing the preparation of and disclosure of prospective financial information and underlying assumption, in addition to the specific requirement of the relevant situation, the regulations well as relevant professional procurement, it needed to be considered whether the presentation of prospective financial information is information or not misleading. The accounting policies are clearly disclosed in the note of prospective financial information. The assumptions are adequately disclosed in the note to the prospective financial information need to be cleared when assumptions before management best estimate as a hypothetical and assumptions are made therein are material are subject to a high degree of uncertainty and uncertainty of resulting of sensitive results need to be adequately disclosed. The dates of the prospective arrangement should be disclosed. Management need to confirm the assumptions and appropriate of the date, even to an underlying information as they accumulated. In basis of the established point of ranging, which indicates a range is not selected on basis of misleading manner, the result shown prospective financial information expressed in terms of range. If there is any change in accounting policy of the entity for the disclosure in the most recent historical financial statement. Moreover, the change is affect and the change of prospective financial statement has been adequately disclosed. Report on examination of preferred. How should the report should be have a title, have an address, identification of prospective, how we should identify which prospective and information giving. Reference to standard of auditing applicable and examination of prospective on examining the prospective financial, what are the accounting standards you have applied. Statement: the management is responsible for prospective financial statement. When applicable, application or reference to the purpose on restricted distribution of prospective. There's a statement that examination procedures, including examination, test basis, evidence supporting assumption, amount on the disclosed in the forecast projection. And the statement of negative assurance it will be the assumption for a reasonable based on the prospective financial information. Opinion as to whether the prospective financial information is properly prepared on the basis of assumption and prepared in accordance with the relevant financial reporting framework. And appropriate canvases concedes and accessibility of the result in indicated by the prospective financial information, date of the report and place of signature and the signature. Title, address, identification of prospective financial information, reference to the standards on applicable to the examination of financial prospective financial information, statement of the management responsible for the prospective financial information, including underlying assumption, when the applicable reference to the purpose of a restricted distribution of the prospective financial information. When applicable reference. Statement of the examination procedures, including examination of test basis of evidence supporting assumption, amount of other disclosure forecast. Statement of negative assumption, whether the assumptions provide reasonable basis of prospective financial information. Opinion as to whether the prospective financial information is properly prepared on the basis of assumption and presenting in accordance with the relevant financial information. The appropriate canvas concerning achievement of the result indicating prospective financial information, date of the report, and which should be purpose in the complaint. Appropriate canvas and concerning achievement of the result indicating the purpose prospective financial information. Opinion as to whether the prospective financial information is properly prepared on the basis of assumption and it is present in accordance with the relevant financial reporting. Place and signature. Such a report would state whether, based on the examination of the evidence supporting the assumption, assuming has come to the attention, it causes the belief the assumption do not provide a reasonable basis for the prospective financial information, and express an opinion whether the financial information is properly prepared on the basis of assumption and in prepared in accordance with the relevant financial reporting framework.